I didn't really get that a lot up until about 2 years ago when I actually kind of started talking about defense and kind of correcting people and saying, hey, make sure you're looking out for this, or make sure your eyes are on two here. But I didn't really get that up until 2 years ago. And I never really thought about it, too, because I guess I'm hearing my own voice, so I don't really think that. But I don't know. So, yeah, recently.
I mean, do you really feel like you've come into your own as kind of a leader now? Do you kind of see that as your role? And how do you see your role kind of on this defense?
Yeah, being, an older guy, just kind of, there's kind of a gap in between when you're, a young guy and then when you step into a leadership role. You've got to take a step and you've got to decide whether you're going to be a leader or not. And within that step, you're kind of looking around, who's going to lead? Who's going to lead? And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're supposed to be the leader. And especially being an older guy, I'm pretty knowledgeable with what we do on defense and stuff. And I've seen a lot of ball. I've played in a lot of games. And so, kind of just taking that step of just, quit looking around for somebody else to lead and just start doing it yourself, believe in yourself and believe in what you're saying and what you're doing and just go lead. Stop looking around for somebody else to do it, And a lot of that was kind of after the 2021 season. I was kind of within that step in the 2022, and I wasn't really going to do it, and kind of iffy, because we lost such a vocal leader in Skowski and Nolan and Balin, but finally kind of taking that step, and in 23 I didn't really play, so it's you can't be the guy, the tip of the spear guy, doing all kinds of stuff. But now I'm fifth year guy, played a lot of ball, so yeah.
How much is that? Do you have conversations with your dad about that, or is that something that just organically happens?
About what? About leadership?
Leadership and doing all that.
Not so much. Not about just. Well, I kind of just saw what he would do in situations like that, and obviously I'm not a defensive coordinator, so I can't do exactly what he was doing. I can't just make somebody run a lap or something. You know what I mean? So you got to find your own ways to lead, and I think a lot of it's natural and organic, and just what you've seen before you, and who are the great leaders that you've seen. And a lot of the people who have great leaders in front of them kind of mold themselves after them and see, they saw what worked, they saw what didn't work, and they. That's kind of what I try to do, is just, do what I think is right and do what I think, needs to be said and what doesn't need to be said.
How has the players responded to your leadership? Has it been,
I think it's been good. I hope it's been, I hope they're not, smacking their teeth at me saying, what's Tyler saying, but they haven't done that. So, I try to, in my leadership, I don't ever try to point the finger at anybody. I don't think that's fair. I think we're all, on the same level. And of course, you got to call people out when they're not accountable. But you got to call people up too. You got to bring people along. We need everybody in this journey. It's a long season, and injuries happen, and people have incredible abilities. And so, as a leader, you're trying to help that person become who they are destined to be. And you're not trying to push anybody down. Especially, we're all wearing a paw. So why wouldn't I want, somebody to be their best and, to help us? So, I think they've responded the right way to my leadership, and I've tried to approach people the right way that needs to be approached. You can't take the same approach with everybody. Everybody's from different backgrounds and whatnot, and so you gotta, know how to talk to people to bring them up.
You had one of the greatest quotes to me ever after the Orange Bowl. I said, Tyler, what are you thinking about? What are your plans? Would you come back next year? And you said, what else am I going to do? Which means, football has been your life. So now as you kind of enter this phase of it, are you taking more appreciation in Jervy Meadows that this may be my final time as a player, maybe out there? Some of these final scrimmages in the back, are you
Yeah, absolutely. And it's my first 2 years, they were long, and my sophomore year especially was really rough. Just taking a ton of reps at different positions, and my head was spinning, and doing very exotic things defensively, very, very, very early on, like day one stuff that maybe didn't need to have that much installed. And so as a young player, I'm, my head's spinning, not really knowing what to do, and kind of just hoping it's over. But, now it happens fast. I remember my freshman year looking at Nolan Turner, who's the 5th year, who's where I am now. And it just happens fast. And, I have a great appreciation for it because I know, I ain't going to take many more snaps. I mean, my time, like everybody's, you get a finite amount of snaps left in your career. And, I'm kind of blessed to know that, I have a limited amount left, and I think that makes me cherish it so much more. And I've had a ton of fun this camp. I've had last year I didn't get to go to camp, so just having a true appreciation for it and having the right mindset. Coach Sweeney does a great job of speaking life into us and being positive and being intentional with the time that we get. And so I've tried to do that.
Tyler, speaking of that fun, you guys got to Lake Day, and you got to hang out, and what were some of the most fun moments that stick out to you from that experience?
I think jumping off the rocks. Those were seeing guys do backflips and gainers off of them, and people you wouldn't even expect doing it. Who's, they're climbing up there, they're all scared, and all of a sudden they do a double backflip off the rock. That's always fun. Seeing a big defensive tackle jump off the rock, that's always funny too. But our staff does a great job of keeping everybody safe and making sure we're doing the right stuff. But it's good to get away and do something else other than football just for a couple hours with your teammates and grow in a different way and relax. So because growing your team's more about just within the lines and within the whistles. So I think we do a great job of bonding and bringing guys together and jumping on some boats and driving around and having fun. So it was all of it. Just sitting there eating food and at the pool, at the lake. It was a lot of fun.
Obviously, last year you're on the sideline watching. This year you're practicing against that offense. I mean, are there any ways that they look different to you compared to last year?
Yeah, Coach Riley's he's an incredible offensive mind. Just his ability to adapt and adjust and be unpredictable and motion and all this kinds of stuff that he's doing constantly to make his game better, to make our offense more complex, yet for the offensive mind, for Cade, for the receivers, more simple at the same time. Does a really good job. The run game is it's really good. Just the way that they can be precise and spread the ball out, and with their quick game and all the kind of stuff that they do, it's really hard to prep for early on in camp. And we're trying to kind of game plan it up there in our meetings. But Coach Riley and the offensive staff does a great job of always adapting, always innovating. Coming up with new stuff. So.
I'm sorry, what difference do you see in Cade so far?
I don't know about difference. I think he's just, obviously he's gotten another year. And so with the years in college, you gain maturity, and the game slows down for you the longer you've been in the game, which I don't think is a surprise to anybody. But he's a great leader. He's a very natural leader from what I've seen from him from January to where he is now. And people are willing to get behind him. And so I think that's a really special and needed thing from a quarterback. His ability to lead people, and he's very calm under the duress of our defensive line from what I've seen. And so, I have all the confidence in the world behind him.
You guys haven't had too much full-on tackling, I guess, yet at this point. But I mean, can you imagine as a defender going up against Phil Mafah, who's kind of a power back, and then a guy like Keith Adams? Like, what is it like as a defender to have to go up against that back to back? It's
stressful because a lot of times you're in conflict and you gotta fit gaps. At the same time, if it's play action, you got to drop into your zone. And with a legit back like Mafah, you don't want to give him a lot of space, and so you're trying to close air as much as you can. But if it's play action, it's not great. But Phil's an incredible back. Within the tackles and then within space too. He's he can really make you miss, and he's got a lot of power behind his legs. Weight-wise, I don't know what he is. I don't know what he's been. But he's hard to bring down. So.
Keith, well, I guess.
Yeah,
Hammerhead,
Keith can run the ball. He ain't afraid to get his nose bloody, and he loves contact. He loves to collision people, and that's kind of what he loves to do. So it's a good kind of mix. Phil's not even just a savvy back, so it's it's stressful going to get up against him in practice.
Tyler, when you have guys like Tyler Brown and Antonio Williams, Tyler with that amazing first year, Antonio coming back from injury, what do you try to say to encourage them, and even though they're on the other side of the ball, but help them along in their process?
I think just within periods of our practice, making sure that we talk to them defensively, defensive back wise, is going over to them, saying hey Tyler, I really like what you did there with your stem and how you jabbed at the top and this and that. Really telling them what we liked and how, or if we knew that they were going to run a route here or there, just kind of telling them so they can make their game better. We're not obviously you're trying to compete here right now, but you're also trying to make them better, and they're trying to make us better. And so they'll talk to us too, to me and RJ, and to tell them what they were seeing, what they were reading. Cade will do the same thing to us. Maybe we gave a disguise away. Maybe we gave a pressure away. So just always communicating with one another to make their game better, offensively, defensively. Not trying to divide the football team as those two, but trying to come together and perfect all of our crafts.
I guess RJ was saying that Wesco and Moore are probably the two best freshman receivers he's seen here. I guess, would you agree, and why would that be the case?
I'm trying to think about freshman receivers I've gone up against and I've seen, but they're the real deal. They can absolutely fly, and their route running ability, their ability to read defenders, to read coverage is top tier. Their stems, their quickness, their top end speed, their hands. I can go on and on about how good they really are. And the good news is our receiving core doesn't stop with those two. We've got guys everywhere at all four positions who can really do it. And our tight end group too is incredible. Brennan Stuhl and Josh Sapp and Marcus Dixon and Olsen can really do it. And so our passing game, I'm excited for it.
Take one more if you guys got it.
I guess for Cade, a lot of guys have kind of mentioned that he's grown as a leader from last season to this season. I guess from your perspective, have you seen that maturation from him? And if so, how has he kind of developed himself into becoming a better leader?
Yeah, he's just been a more vocal guy, from January to where he is now. He's really, I think he was kind of within that leadership role of where, you're just kind of a younger guy and then you kind of make that step and now you're really a leader. And he's really made that step, and he's done a great job with it. He's been a vocal guy. He's been, the first guy in all the sprints. He's not just a vocal guy when things need to get done. He's right there with his hand down in the dirt with all of us getting it done. And people respect that. People appreciate that. From the quarterback position, in general, people are wanting to get behind that and follow that. And he's stepped into that role. He's done an incredible job of leading that offensive group, of leading those guys, of being in critical situations in practice and just executing, just getting the job done. And a lot of that that makes you a better leader too, and that makes guys respect you too. You can't just talk about it all the time. You can't just be the fastest guy in all the sprints. At some point, you got to come execute. And with all the practice that we've had so far, he's been an executioner. And I hate it because I'm competing against him, and he's getting first down or scoring a touchdown, and I don't want to see that. But in the back of my mind, it's you're kind of happy too. You can appreciate it. Your quarterback's out there leading, and it's fun to be a part of. It's fun to compete against somebody that can beat you. And so but he's been a great leader. He's been a better vocal leader, and he's been a guy who can execute. So he's an older guy too. So.